I think one of the few positive things I can say about Secret Invasion's fourth episode is that at least it was short. At 35 minutes, it's the shortest episode thus far. The episode is called Beloved, and because it's shorter, it actually means there's more story content and plot development packed into this one. So by comparison to the other episodes, this one doesn't feel slow or drag on. I think it's paced a bit better. I'm also glad to say that Nick Fury actually asserts himself a little bit more, gaining the upper hand in certain situations on occasion. The first thing we learn is that Gaia, who was shot in the previous episode by Gravik, she isn't dead. She used the machine that Gravik's scientists have been developing to modify herself with Extremis technology, and we saw Extremis in Iron Man 3, which was something that Aldrich Killian was working on. So Gaia regenerates. Meantime, we discover, and I was genuinely surprised by this, Rhodes is actually a Skrull. Thank God. This means at least that the real Rhodes hasn't been turned into the asshole we saw in episode 2. Skrull Rhodes, who obviously is working for Gravik, wants Fury's wife, Vara, aka Priscilla Fury, to kill Nick, or she'll be killed herself. While this conversation is happening, at least Fury is a step ahead for once, secretly listening in on their conversation. And meantime, Gaia and Talos have a scene together. He tries to explain to her that Skrulls have to win humanity's trust by proving themselves first, showing their hearts, basically showing their true compassionate nature. But she doesn't believe that this is something that she can do. Perhaps she believes that Talos is a tad naive, and she storms off. I think her story arc with him, her relationship with Talos, is very much the classic daddy issues trope that we've seen in Hollywood for decades now. Priscilla and Fury have become too estranged since the blip to fully trust each other, but they care enough about each other to not, shoot each other dead, so that's good. Instead, they both shoot the walls behind them. It's kind of unnecessary theatrics, to be honest, considering they literally just took out their guns and put them on the table a few minutes earlier in the conversation and proceeded to chat about Priscilla's backstory. It just seemed a bit silly, to be honest. And then they both go their separate ways. I've got more coming up on this fourth episode of Secret Invasion right after this. But first, a word from our sponsor for this video, Raid Shadow Legends. Download it for free today through my link below or using the on-screen QR code. The iconic RPG fantasy game is back with epic battles, dynamic characters and battle modes, gorgeous graphics and an ever-expanding universe. I've always appreciated games that offered replay value, and Raid is the best example of this because it's always being updated with new awesome warriors, new weapons, abilities, bad guys and arenas. There is one area I think Raid has been lacking in, and it's been among the game's biggest criticisms: a lack of backstory content and lore. Well, as part of a new campaign to give players an even more immersive universe and a deeper and richer world-building experience, Raid has created a limited 10-part animated series for you to watch. It's called Raid Call of the Arbiter. The first 6 episodes are available to watch for free on the Raid Shadow Legends YouTube channel, with a combined total of 12 million views already, and the comments are overwhelmingly positive, proving to be a huge hit on YouTube. You can also watch the series in the game every Thursday at 10 AM Eastern Standard Time until July 20th. The animation is excellent and the musical score by Jesper Kyd is really beautiful. The first episode focuses on long-standing series champion Galek. We learn about his origin story in the series, his rebellion against his father, and his defense of the humans. The series will also include the launch of behind-the-scenes content and a global Easter egg hunt with hidden codes in each episode. So the series is a wonderful companion to the game. The game has also been expanded once again with a new spin-off character from the show called Arctic. As part of a loyalty program, everyone will have the chance to get Arctic as a playable legendary champion for free by logging on to Raid for 7 days between now and July 24th. Raid has lots of new events happening right now for new and existing players. Follow my link in the description box below and download Raid for free for more details, or scan the QR code if you like. Start playing Raid now and get access to some fantastic bonuses, including a new powerful champion named Drake. Okay, so welcome back. So Fury goes to confront Skrull Rhodes in his hotel room, armed with a bottle of some gold liquor. He claims he wants to bury the hatchet after Skrull Rhodes fired him, but he instead proceeds to strongly hint that he knows this Rhodes is a Skrull, although he doesn't get definitive about it, just suggesting that there's a Skrull very, very close to the president, as in, as close as the two of them sitting together, basically. The conversation is eggshells once again, as Skrull Rhodes is a prickly character with absolutely zero respect for Fury. He responds by showing footage of Gravik pretending to be Fury shooting Agent Maria Hill after the Moscow bombing in the first episode. Fury says they both know that that is Gravik. Skrull Rhodes mocks Fury, claiming that he's basically desperate to exonerate himself. To be fair, it makes zero sense why Nick Fury would shoot his longtime partner and friend, Maria Hill, but the fact that Rhodes, who knows Fury for years, would so easily dismiss out of hand the possibility that Fury has been impersonated by a shapeshifter only further makes a case that something is not right with this Rhodes. So Fury clearly suspects he's a Skrull, and he has good reason to. Outside, he and Talos discuss what just happened. The booze Fury gave Skrull Rhodes is actually a liquid tracking system. Clever. But I think what Fury should have done in their conversation together was to try to completely fool Skrull Rhodes, rather than antagonizing him or tipping his hand that he suspected he was a Skrull. Fury's tongue-in-cheek sarcasm in this scene was the wrong strategy in my view. He should have played the humble card, gone to Skrull Rhodes, wishing to settle their differences amicably, and then perhaps bullshitted Skrull Rhodes a little bit. Maybe he could have tried to come across as pathetic, begged for his job back, or at least told him that he's willing to admit he might be wrong about the idea that there's a Skrull invasion happening, and that he hasn't been the same since the blip, blah blah. Really played up the whole broken man thing. The best way Fury could have left it was to tell Skrull Rhodes if he ever needs any help in the future that he'll always be there for him, because ultimately they're both on the same side, etc. Placate him, kill him with kindness, win his trust, pander to him if necessary, say whatever it takes, and say it convincingly to the point that even the audience believes Fury's pathetic apology. And let the two characters part with a handshake, with Skrull Rhodes maybe parting with a condescending remark before Fury heads out the door, and then the next scene in the car with Fury and Talos becomes much stronger as a result, because now we know that Fury has completely played Skrull Rhodes and taken him for a fool, and indeed taken the audience for fools as well. The liquid tracker is now active, and that's what matters, and at least if the conversation had gone the way I'm suggesting, it would have not only made Fury seem a bit more tactical, more strategic and intelligent, it would have also potentially neutralized this Rhodes imposter a little bit, making him believe that Fury is no longer a threat to him. I think getting this Rhodes imposter on his side would have been a powerful way of gaining more intel into the Skrull plot, potentially, and also controlling this Skrull to a certain degree. But instead, Fury gives away too much. But at least it wasn't all for nothing. He can now at least track this Skrull and potentially find the location of the Skrull base, which is presumably where the real James Rhodes is being held captive. The rest of the story focuses on Gravik and his men attacking the US president after he's landed in England, an attack facilitated by evil Rhodes. Once again, another false flag being blamed on the Russians to start World War III. Fury and Talos attempt to protect the president, and in so doing, Gravik appears to have killed Talos, although we'll see what happens with him in the final 2 episodes. Gravik is now making use of his Groot abilities, because he's now a Super Skrull. Fury manages to escape with the president, leaving Talos apparently dead on the ground. The episode ends. The plot for Secret Invasion is just stupid. It's easy to forget, in all of the action and explosions, that the villain's motivations are utterly ludicrous and make no sense. Gravik is the leader of a faction of Skrulls who wish to destroy humanity and take over Earth because Nick Fury wasn't able to procure them a planet after the events of Captain Marvel. And they're just sort of bored, I guess. Bored of living in human form in secret on Earth all these years. Now, there's a case to be made that the Skrulls might have felt somewhat let down by Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D. Perhaps very disappointed. Maybe even angry at being used as spies for his intelligence network. But how is any of that justification for wanting to engage in terrorism, murdering innocent people, let alone trying to wipe out humanity and take over planet Earth? Also, once again, the tone of the show continues to be just dreary, and none of the characters are all that likable. Even Fury at times feels a bit distant. Now, I think it's important to also say that I think it's obvious that Fury has been ground down this season and turned into a broken man so that he can go on a journey and rediscover himself. The problem is that it's once again following a pattern in Hollywood of deconstructing male characters, which has been happening quite often lately, as I've discussed before. It's also not a particularly imaginative story arc, and not an especially enjoyable one. A sulky, weakened, and slightly dysfunctional and uncertain Nick Fury just isn't all that believable or consistent with the character, in my opinion. In the same way that the defeated and hopeless Indiana Jones at the end of Dial of Destiny just doesn't seem like how he would behave. It does appear as if we're being prepared for a redemption story for Nick Fury and a restoration of the character to his former glory by the end of the season. Two things strongly indicate this to me. A shot from one of the trailers with Fury wearing his eye patch once again, and his eye patch is very much symbolic of his old self. And also, in the trailer for the Marvels, we see him wearing his eye patch as well, and he's dressed a lot more sharply. The scruffiness is gone, the suaveness is back. He seems to have gotten his mojo again. He appears to be large and in charge in that film, confident and self-assured. So it's likely that the character of Nick Fury was broken down and deconstructed purely for this 6-episode miniseries, only to be turned back to his old self by series end. If my theory happens to be true, it sounds to me like a pretty pointless journey, right back all the way to where he began. I guess we'll have to wait till the end of episode 6 to find out if this journey added any real value to the character. Of the 4 episodes so far, this was the most watchable, just about, primarily because at least the story was condensed into a shorter runtime, but it was by no means a good episode of television. Anyway, that about does it for this video. Let me know your thoughts on this episode below. Final reminder guys, make sure you check out Raid Shadow Legends by using my link in the description box below or scanning my QR code to get fantastic bonuses for new players with a new epic champion. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.